establishing regional development innovation hubs. NDDC should champion this. And then local content board, I look forward to a collaboration between the local content board and NDDC in this area. 2, we should incentivize local investors and contractors through tax breaks and credit guarantees. Now, the Nigerian government is trying to do this, but I think the subnationals should do it more. The various state governments should capitalize on this. Then we should institutionalize stakeholder forums like this. We should create bodies that will organize things like this. And then we should continually, NSE should continually do content development, capacity building for the technical people. Now, the final recommendation I want to make is that the state governments of the Niger Delta should collectively invest in the Niger Delta Regional Power Pool project. Now, I remember we went to this Las Vegas in the US in 2018 to sell the idea of this regional power pool project. I will speak to it in a minute. Now, we see power as the fulcrum of development in this region. If you truly want to develop this region, we must invest in power. And the new Electricity Act gives us power to do this. It's no longer exclusive. The truth is, why companies, I'm speaking based on research that we've done, why most companies don't set up in the Niger Delta is the cost of power and the unreliability of power. And then it's a chain. The insecurity is there, okay? Dangote refinery rightfully should be here, but it's not here. Some of the considerations then were insecurity, power. So if the state governments come together, NDDC should be the champion of this collaboration. And this will actually pull this Niger Delta region from poverty. And we'll begin to sail, we'll begin to glide. Now, this power pool project comprises of, the plan is that we should build additional 7,500 megawatts of power within the region. And this will come from 15 power stations, gas-powered, located in different areas of the Niger Delta region, each producing 500 megawatts. And then we construct a regional transmission grid of 2,900 kilometers of transmission lines. And then, of course, we will have 27 substations to power 27 industrial hubs. Each senatorial district with 3 industrial hubs. So the 9 states of the region will have 27. If we can do this, the cost of the project is huge, okay? Because if you take but it can be done. The state government can do it. I don't want to tell a story because of time, but I will tell you guys a story. Maybe I'll just summarize it because I'm closing now. It's long time ago, during Jonathan's government, Nigeria, in fact, during Obasanjo identified it that the first thing Nigeria needs to do was to provide power. We spent a lot of money. Now, a story was told. If you belong to the Engineer in Society Forum, you may have read this story. The story was told of a very influential Nigerian that was abroad in a conference during Jonathan's government, was introduced to a state governor of one of the richest states in this region. Okay? They introduced the governor to officials of General Electric. And then they had conversation, and General Electric was ready to come and invest and build a 120,000 megawatt plant in the state and construct all the transmission lines and the distribution lines and distribute the power. But we should be allowed to run it for 25 years and hand over at the end of the 25 years to that state. The state government was just to provide the land, they were not meant to spend a kobo. Of course, he was excited. He said, okay, let me go home, let me pass it through my executive council and all of that. And what happened? This facilitator called him, and then he didn't pick, and then his chief of staff called the facilitator that, well, the governor is ready to do it, but GE should bring $10 million first. And that was the period when the Alibotin case, and American governments were businesses were very cautious. And of course, no American company will give you a bribe of $10 million. And the $10 million was not paid. The project was not done. Look at where we are today. Okay, so I will conclude. So the regional power pool project, we have made a proposal on this to NDDC, and wherever you are, please try and support it. NDDC is supposed to be the champion of this, and we'll continue to engage with them. Now, in conclusion, our story in the Niger Delta is not just one of oil. It is a story of resilience. I'm yet to see more resilient people than we have in the Niger Delta. We have potential, and we can be transformed, and we can transform our land. But first, to do that, we must unlock these partnerships that I've spoken about, and we must continue to innovate, and we must bring everybody together. Now, the NDDC, past, present, and future, has a critical role, not as a contractor of projects, but as a convener of collaborative development. And I believe that the Nigerian Society of Engineers, especially this vibrant Port Harcourt branch, has a strategic role to play in engineering that future. Thank you. Let us therefore rise above silos, beyond politics, and work together to build a Niger Delta that thrives on local innovation, empowered people, and sustainable partnerships. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Please, a wonderful round of applause to him. Sir, just wait. Can you please just wait? Let's just quickly do something. Let's award our speakers. And please, you would help us by staying after the panel. So some of our guests here have questions. Like yesterday, some persons wanted to ask questions, but the speakers have left. So we want to plead with you to stay with us. Please permit me to welcome our chairman to come and make this presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think my assignments as chairman, Nigerian Society of Engineers, would not have been completed if I have not brought in where I finished from. As the director, I'm so happy. Where I retired from, that's what I'm saying. Where I retired from, you have different perspective of Niger Delta Development Commission. I think this will broaden your mind and have a better positive perception about Niger Delta Development Commission, just to lighten us. We are live on air right now as we speak And I believe that place molded me what I am today. And I believe the presentation with my senior colleague, what he had done today, as a former acting MD, he has done justice to Niger Delta Development Commission. I'm just wondering if we agitate that Niger Delta Development Commission, one, should be scrapped. I don't know how you will feel with all that we have done so far. Or it should be moved to another state. I don't know how River State will feel of all that they have done so far. I want to appreciate you so much for accepting this. We continue to do this advocates for the place where we have been brought out and many of us have benefited. If you have not, tomorrow I'm sure you will still benefit. Thank you so much. I so much appreciate you. Thank you so much. On behalf of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Port Harcourt branch, I present this award. Okay. I present this award in appreciation to you as a distinguished special guest of honor on this very, very, very occasion. Thank you and God bless. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, okay.
Please, a wonderful round of applause for him. Permit me to welcome to join us upstage Engineer Nathaniel Longjohn, the CEO, Natlong Oil and Gas Services Limited. Don't stop clapping till he gets here, I beg you. I can't hear your hands. Thank you very much.
Lieutenant Longjohn, you've done noble to the subject matter given to you. You taught all the details of what we expected from NCDMB, and we learned a lot from you. Secondly, I think you are the most patient speaker we've ever had. I want you to please give me a round of applause. On behalf of Nigerian Society of Engineers, Port Harcourt branch, we present this award to you as a distinguished special guest of honor for your presentation on this day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, a wonderful round of applause for them. The next item on our program is a technical presentation by the Chief Operating Officer of Geoplex Drill Tech Limited, Engineer Akintunde Fadare, and he will be talking to us on increasing local content in oil and gas operations, challenges, and opportunities. Please help me put your hands together as we welcome upstage Engineer Akintunde Fadare. And please help me also welcome on stage Engineer Dr. Vincent Onuegbu Izinwaru, FNSC, to come and give his citation.
Engineer Akintunde Fadare is the Chief Operating Officer of Geoplex Drill Tech Limited, and he has over 21 years of experience in the oil industry, working for Baker Hughes, Welltech, and now Geoplex. Akintunde is a strong, collaborative, and focused player with extensive expertise and competency in project management, business management, data business analysis, reliability and technical support, geoscience, well work, customer service, marketing, sales, and human resources. He started his career at Baker Hughes as a general field engineer and rose through the ranks to become product line manager, Central African Geomarket. He holds a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering from the University of Ilorin a master's in business administration from Edinburgh Business School, Heriot-Watt University, and a postgraduate degree in data and business analytics from the University of Texas, Austin. This should be Houston, yeah? He is currently, Austin. He is currently pursuing a doctorate in business administration at Edgeworth College, Madison, Wisconsin, USA. Let me add that he is a keen supporter of local content research and a driver of such. He is pushing the frontiers in collaborative research between industry and academia, and just recently he ensured that a research group from Rivers State University were on hand to see what they could do for Geoplex, and is driving that research interest. Please, distinguished audience, let me present this brilliant engineer, Engineer Akintunde Fadire.
Thank you, sir. Please permit me to stand on existing protocols. I will especially appreciate our host. Madam, thank you so much for the opportunity. The previous presenters has actually taken quite a lot of words out of my mouth, so there's not a lot to say. What I will do a little bit is, how do we make this thing work? Our problems in Nigeria are in front of us. And we think that we are the ones to fix this country, especially the engineers. The previous presenter talked about how, as an engineer, he was able to ease his MBA. And one thing we've noticed in the industry is that as engineers, any opportunity that is given to us, we don't tend to have problems or issues in doing them well. When it comes to finance, we don't have much problem in understanding it and doing it well. Even in business administrations, I took special pride in business administrations. And I noticed that even as engineers, we're able to do it, we're able to understand it. And what that means is that as engineers, this is a gathering of engineers, we have quite a lot to do to make sure that whatever policy government is putting in place, we are standing behind it and making sure that it works. So this afternoon, we're talking about local content in oil and gas operations. It's a very simple topic because it worked. And I'm a living testimony of how local content can work. The oil and gas sector is privileged to have benefited from the Nordic arts. And questions that are coming to mind is, how do we take this? How do we replicate this in other sectors that we're actually driving the GDP of this country, and make sure that just as we've recorded progress with local content in oil and gas, we'll do the same in every other major sector in this country. So, I have a few slides about the introduction. I won't talk much about it because of the justice that has been done to it. So next slide. I have some few slides on what is local content, but it has been clearly defined. What I can say is what is not local content, since we already know what local content is. Local content is not a birthright. It's not an entitlement. Local content does not mean we go there and start beating the tables and claiming it as our right. Local content should actually be seen as a challenge to us as engineers, that when that opportunity comes, we take it and we'll make sure that we prove those that are looking down on us as Nigerian that, yes, we can do it. I mean, for me, that's what it is. And that's why at Joples today, next slide. At Joples today, we're extremely proud of what the company has done. We're able to say we are the fastest growing indigenous oil and gas company in Nigeria. I'm not going to dwell talking about it, sent by Nigerian, the fellow engineers that leave Slumbeje to start the company. And when he started the company, I was one of the first engineers to do their first job as part of the hand-holding mechanism that the government put in place. I was in Baker Hughes, but I had to go and do the job for Joples, an indigenous company. Those memories are still vivid today for me because when that company came forward, some of us in Baker Hughes were skeptical. Like a Nigerian company, you do perforations, you acquire data, you invest in all this equipment. But I'm proud to say that the CEO of the company today, I'm happy that Joples took that decisions. I'm also very proud of the government that stood beside and behind local company. Considering the forces that local company will face when you stand against multinationals, without the support of the government, it's almost impossible. So oil and gas companies have benefited from this, and figures are there to show it. From 5% contribution in 2010, we're currently doing 56% today. That is actually remarkable, considering what we think or what the world says of Nigeria. We're actually more than 56. So if you look at the recent acquisitions of Shell asset by Renaissance, if you look at what Aradel is doing, if you look at what Oando is doing to Ajib assets, if you look at what Seplat is doing, by the time you put that together, the local content figure will go up. Now, what should we, so next slide. So this session is not really about talking about the problem, but it's more about how do we relate what is being done in the oil and gas business to the other major contributors of our economy. In terms of GDP, oil and gas is currently less than 5%. It's contributing less than 5% to the economy of this country. We all say a lot about it, oil and gas. No, oil and gas is less than 5% contribution to the GDP of this country. Telecoms is contributing a lot. Now, what that speaks to us is that if the government puts its weight behind oil and gas, that is just 5%, and we're able to move the local content contribution from almost 0 to 56, it means that if we also shift focus to other economy, like the blue economy, the telecoms, and the rest, it means that, we will be swimming in wealth as a nation because of the engineers and the human capacity that we are blessed with. So this one of the take-home that we should take from this session is the need to challenge ourselves to say that it's being done in oil and gas, so it's doable, we can do it. Then how do we do it? How do we learn from what is done in oil and gas and replicate the same in all the other major sectors of this country? Why is it important? Job creations. I was privileged to be hired into Baker Hughes. Baker Hughes is an American company, sent me abroad, we're trained, we came back, we started working as field engineers. We were well paid. But beside the pay is the knowledge that was transferred to us. And with the local content, thanks to SPDC, Nigerians in Baker Hughes were given better opportunities because of the quota system that was put in place and so many other things. Become difficult for multinational companies to bring experts into country. And they have no choice but to develop the local workforce. And that's how we got the job, because they have no choice. And they seriously invested in our training. So we're saying we are just 5% of the GDP of this country. You can imagine if we do the same in our marine, if we do the same in our telecoms, if we do the same in agriculture and all the other sectors, even in the the construction business, Julius Berger, if you do the same, we can imagine what we'll be talking about. Power. You know, we're still talking to General Electrics, on our turbines. So, job creation is good, and local content brings that to our economy. Technology and skill transfers is good. Those technology will not have been transferred to Nigerians if not for the support of the government that made it mandatory. And they have no choice but to train us and develop us. So today we are running the local company because we have been trained by the multinationals. So those knowledge were transferred. We have to do the same thing in the other economy sectors of this country. Industrial development. I think in Nigeria, I think we own one of the biggest facilities for an oil and gas service company. We built it. We copied what Baker Hughes had in Houston, and we built the same thing in Nigeria. So that is development. So when we empower local companies, we will not go and be renting out. We'll build houses. We'll build those facilities in Nigeria. And it's not only Jopless. There are a lot of other local companies around that are doing the same thing. This is how we will develop this country. Then the foreign exchange. We get, on some of our contracts, 60% dollars, and we get 40% naira, especially when we're lucky. That 40% alone will have reduced what the multinational will be repatriating and taking out. So it gives us some control on our foreign exchange, and it brings stabilizations in. So it's extremely important. Then all this add up to a sustainable national growth. As a country, we will continue to be the underdog, and we continue to suffer as long as we rely on foreign companies to come and develop our country for us. They have their own country. So we have to develop our country by ourselves. And that is why next slide. And it's not something that we can do alone. It needs the support of government. But more than that is also we as engineers. When we're given that opportunity, we need to stand behind it. When I take on a job, one thing that comes on my head is I'll do this better than Baker Hughes. And the reason harder in Nigeria. So if I can be an engineer in Nigeria, I can be an engineer anywhere in the world. So there's no difference. What we need is just the government, the enablement, and the mindset. So we talk about the job creations, we talk about the value chain, we talk about the GDP growth. Next slide. Next slide. So I've talked about that. Those are the benefits. Next slide. Now I'll talk about the achievement as well. Indigenous company grow. Jopless was started about 3 personnel. The owner of the company, the director, the driver. And then they started moving around. They got the first job. Multinationals like us, we working for Baker Hughes, we supported them, do the first few jobs, then they hire engineers, then we train the engineers. Today, the company has over 500 staff working for us. We bought, So it's remarkable because when one of the multinational companies want to sell their business, KSA Dutag, they have a lot of rig. They had to look around which local company can we sell this business to. They did not just make it it's not about profits. They want to give it to a company that can keep it running. So they themselves went to the government and said, we want to sell this company, but want to determine who we sell it to. There were some questions around, no, you can't do that. I said, yes, we can, because we don't want to sell this company to a company that cannot run it. So Jopless and a few other companies were picked. And that was why we were supported to buy that rig. So today, as engineers, and all our engineers working and running that rig, one of our challenges is that if Germany or Germans can run that rig effectively, then we as Nigerians, we must run it, and we run it better. So when we bought that rig, they were all warm stack. In fact, one is warm stack, 3 are cold stack, and they didn't have job. But today, all the rigs are working, and we even buy more rigs, new rigs into the country. So it's a testament that give Nigerians the opportunity, and we will deliver, because we've got what it takes. We just need that opportunity. Next slide. However, it's not easy. There are challenges to it, and we have to be aware of it. One of the major challenges is OEM and their support. Most of the time, we are seen as competitors to those that will give us the technology. So we have to be a little bit diplomatic and tactically and gradually work with them to get those technologies and support to be given to us, for us to be picked as their representative, for us to be trusted, for us to be given privileges. And we gradually, every little step that we're giving, we make sure that we don't disappoint them, and we also don't disappoint the government. Those will not happen by chances. It's deliberate effort. And that's where we are engineers, we have a major role to play. Not just enough that we are responsible for the bolt and nut, we also make sure that the financials and everything that surrounds it is done well and properly so that the business is sustainable. The next major challenges are limited financing options. Very, very limited. And these are areas where government can come in. It's a big problem in Nigeria, I'll be honest. However, the good thing is that while Nigerian banks cannot adequately fund, it's interesting to know that there are foreign countries that are ready to fund our projects in Nigeria as long as we buy their equipment. And they give us a rate that is actually lower than what Nigerian banks will give us. It's remarkable, and we should take a lot of cue from this, because they tie a condition to it. You must buy made in America or made in China products.